Okay, in this lesson, we're going to talk about quadratic transformations. Now, just in case you didn't pick this up from quadratic formula, let's talk about what the word quadratic means. Okay, quadratic means that you have to have a power of 2. So your exponent is 2. That's called a quadratic. And the next thing you need to know is that the shape of a quadratic will always look like a U. So now let's go figure that out for sure. Okay, here we're going to go old school and do a little t-table. So on the t-table, we're going to go from -3 to +3. And I'm going to add a few spaces down here. Sorry about that. Okay. So now on my calculator, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to type in, open my parentheses, -3 squared. And my calculator will tell me that the answer is 9. And then we're going to go -2 squared inside parentheses, 4. So remember, whenever you have a negative number, before you square it, please make sure that it's in parentheses. And then you get 1, and then you have 0 squared. When you get to positive numbers, you don't have to have the parentheses. I mean, you can still keep it, but you don't have to have it with positive ones. You only have to have it with negative ones. And then 3 squared is 9. So now let's go plot these points. So left 3 up 9, left 2 up 4, left 1 up 1, 0, 0 middle, right 1 up 1, right 2 up 4, right 3 up 9. And then when you draw this, you're going to notice that you can't draw it with straight lines. There is a curve into it. And so this is how we get the fabulous U shape. Now, transformations, if you can remember, transformations, we talked about these with exponentials where we talked about shifting left, right, up, down. So now we're going to do it with quadratics. And to help you, I'm going to switch over to Desmos and we're going to have Desmos graph it. And you can look at the picture and then hopefully you're going to see where I get the statement. Okay, parent graph. If they ever talk about a parent graph for quadratics is always y equals x squared. Okay, so that's always considered the original. And then you're going to compare it to the new one. So over here at Desmos, I have x squared typed in, which you can see color red next to it. So that's the red graph. That looks like the one we did up above. The second slot, which is my blue one, is x squared plus 3. So if I'm comparing my red one to my blue one, does everybody notice I just went up and I went up 3 spaces? And when you look at the equation, does everybody notice that right here at the end it says plus 3? And if it says plus 3, then that means you're going up 3. So for this one, I would say up 3. So now what do you think is going to happen if I come to the second one and I change it from plus 3 to -4? And then hopefully everybody says, oh, look, to get from red to blue, I'm going down 4. So a little synopsis here. Okay, the number at the end will tell you if you shift up or down. So if it's a plus number, you go up, and if it's a minus number, you go down. But it has to be behind the x squared. Okay, so now let's switch gears over to ones that have parentheses in them. So now we've got in our parentheses, we have x minus 2 Oh, sorry. So here I'm going to type in x minus, whoops. So x minus 2. And I'm going to close my parentheses and then squared. So when you look at this one, remember red is the original, blue is the new one. Instead of shifting up and down, do you notice that we shifted it to the right? So remember, if it's in parentheses, kind of like what we talked about exponential, if it's up power, but this time if it's in parentheses, it's opposite of what it looks. So here you would say right 2. And then you come over and we'll make it x squared plus 5 here. And then you're going to notice, oh, I shifted this one to the left 5. Okay, so let's make a little conclusion here. The number inside the parentheses behind x. Sorry, hold on. So the number inside the parentheses after x tells if you shift right or left.
Why did we not catching up? Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry about my kids there. But anyway, we were in the process of saying shifts right or left. So remember, it's opposite of how it looks. So OPP, opposite for looks. So if it says plus, you're really going to say left. And if it says minus, you're really going to say right. Okay? So rolling on. Now let's talk about if I place a number in front of x squared. So now I'm going to come back down here and we're going to say 3x to the second. And hopefully when you look at this one, you're going to notice that the new one is inside the old one. So whenever the new picture is inside the old picture, that's what we're going to call a vertical. Oops, let me change colors here. So that's going to be called a vertical stretch. So it's always going to be a stretch because a stretch means that it's getting narrow. So anytime you look at the picture and you think that the U shape has become narrower or more narrow, I guess should be the way to say it, then it's called a vertical stretch. And then we always say a vertical stretch by how much? And the by part is just the number in front, which is 3. Okay, so now let's change the number in front of that to 1/4. And this time, instead of being inside the picture, you're going to notice it's outside the picture. Okay, so if it's outside the picture, it's not going to be a vertical stretch anymore. It's going to be a vertical shrink. Which a vertical shrink just means your U shape becomes wider by 1/4. Okay, so let's make a little conclusion here. Okay, so we're looking at the number in front So number in front of x squared will tell you if it's a vertical stretch or a vertical shrink. So it would be a vertical stretch or shrink. Okay, so if that number is larger than 1, because 1 is considered normal, so 1 means nothing happens, it just stayed the same. So if the number is larger than 1, that's going to be a vertical stretch. Okay, if the number is more than 0, but less than 1, so a decimal or a fraction that's between 0 and 1, that's what we're going to call a vertical shrink. Okay, and then the last thing we have to deal with is one that has a negative in front. So if I come here and I get rid of this and I just put a negative in front, hopefully everybody notices, oh, well, instead of my U opening up, my U opens down. And if my U opens down, that's what we're going to call a reflection. So that is a reflection over the x-axis because it looks like you just took it and folded it and flopped it down. Okay, so if you have a negative in front of x squared, then that means a reflection over the x-axis. Okay, so here's the things you have to choose from. You can say up, down, left, right, vertical stretch or vertical shrink, and reflection. So now let's go put all this good stuff to use here. Maybe if my page will load here. Hold on, give it a second. Okay, sorry, I had to pause that until the page loaded. So now let's get some examples. On these, you're comparing every graph to the parent graph, which is y equals x squared. And we want to tell how we get the new equation. So remember, you can say up, down, left, right, vertical stretch, vertical shrink, or you can say reflection. So at most, you're only going to have 4 things. And then the bare minimum is 1. So if we look at A, to be up or down, there has to be a number at the end outside the parentheses. We do not have that, so no. If you have parentheses, that means left or right. And remember, parentheses is opposite. So on this one, you would want to say left 5. There's no number in front of x squared, so don't worry about vertical stretch or shrink. And there's no negative in front of x, so no reflection. So this one just has one thing done. Next one, x squared minus 8. The minus 8 is at the end, so that's up, down, and that's exactly how it looks. So that's going to be down 8. There's no parentheses, so no right or left. There's no number in front of x squared, so no vertical stretch or shrink. And there's no negative in front of x squared, so no reflection, so done. This one, no up, down, because I don't see any number behind. Left, right, parentheses, so yes, opposite. So on this one, you would want to say right 6. And I see a negative out in front, and negative means reflection on the x-axis. Okay, D. Well, I see a negative out in front, so the negative out in front means reflection. Then I see a number in front of x squared, and that number is 3. Don't count the negative because the negative already means reflection, so only the number 3. 3 is larger than 1, so that's going to make it a vertical stretch by 3. And then plus 7 at the end, that means up 7. Okay, next one. Ooh, I see a negative in front, so that means reflection. I see a number out in front as well, 0.2. Don't think of the negative because that is reflection, so just think of 0.2. 0.2 is in between 0 or 1, so that's a vertical shrink by 0.2. Parentheses, so parentheses is opposite, so think left 1. And the -3 at the end means down 3. So pause the video and see if you can do F by yourself. So hopefully you came up with the 3 things that I did. Now our next example, this is the one where you're either describing it or you're writing the new equation. So this one we're going to describe. And we're given the equation y equals x squared plus 15. And to the new equation, y equals x squared plus 8. So my original one, that means up 15. My new equation means up 8. So I'm talking about the y-axis here, up 15, up 8. So how do I get from up 15 to up 8? Well, I have to go down. And then if you count the spaces, it should be 7. Okay, this time we're going to write the equation. So we got a reflection, we got a right 4, and an up 6. Okay, reflection means you put a negative out in front. So there's a negative in front. Now, shifting right means it goes inside the parentheses. And if it's shifting right, you have to do the opposite. So don't put +4, put -4. Up or down is at the end, and that's exactly how it looks. So up 6 is +6. Now I'm just going to simplify it. So y equals negative parentheses x, and then -8 minus 4 is -12, quantity squared. And outside, -4 plus 6 is +2. And there's my answer. Okay, let's do it again. This is describe. The old one means right 9. The new one is right 1. So here's my visual. Here's right 9, right 1. To get from right 9 to right 1, I have to go left and count the spaces, which is 8. Okay, one more equation. Okay, we're going to go down 8 and right 6. So y equals x plus 4. Okay, right or left goes inside the parentheses. So the 6 is going to go inside the parentheses. Just remember to write opposite. So don't write +6, write -6. Up or down is exactly how it looks. So on the outside with the +6, you're going to write -8. Combine and you get y equals x minus 2, quantity squared, -2. Done. Sorry about all the pausing on this one.